The millionaire woman, shaken as beggar boy claims he can make her father walk again. Amelia stepped out of her luxury penthouse, the city buzzing around her like a chaotic orchestra. Cars honked, people shouted, and the smell of street food wafted through the air. But Amelia's mind was elsewhere. Just a few weeks after her father's death, the weight of her guilt felt like a crushing brick on her chest. How could she have prioritized meetings over their precious moments? Her father, a vibrant spirit despite being in a wheelchair, filled her memories with laughter and strength. Now, silence surrounded her, echoing her regret. As she navigated through the crowded streets, she spotted him. A ragged teenage boy, Jonah, with wild hair and tattered clothes. His eyes were sharp, haunted, but fierce. He called out to her, voice cutting through the noise. "You don't have to live with that pain. I can make him walk again." The words hung in the air like a shard of glass. Shocked, Amelia halted. The crowd parted slightly, eyes darting between the millionaire woman and the beggar boy. Did he mean it? His hands were stained with dirt, but his expression was nothing short of magnetic. There was desperation there. It swirled around him like a dark cloud, pulling her in. The murmurs of passers-by cast a shadow. Some scoffed, others gasped, their faces a mix of disbelief and intrigue. "Have you lost your mind?" an old man next to her grumbled. "What kind of nonsense is this?" But Jonah wasn't deterred. "I swear it. I learned the ritual from the old ones. He can walk again." His voice cracked with urgency. Amelia felt a lump in her throat. Hope and skepticism battled inside her, waging war against the backdrop of her father's absence. She looked into Jonah's eyes. "What do you want from me?" "I just need a chance," he replied, desperation bleeding into his words. "I'm not like the others. I've been alone too. I've seen things that can change everything." Around them, whispers escalated. Spectators edged closer, though some pulled back in fear. Amelia's heart raced. This was madness. Yet there was something in his gaze that nudged her curiosity. A flicker of a bond ignited in the chaos. His story, wrapped in the gritty reality of street life, tugged at her heartstrings. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed, a flicker of normalcy amidst the tension. A message from her assistant reminded her of a meeting she was running late for, but the weight of her father's absence, coupled with Jonah's electrifying promise, held her in place. "Will you gamble everything for a chance at hope?" she thought. It felt insane, reckless even. Yet the lure of a connection, of potentially restoring her father, even in spirit, felt magnetic. The city life thrummed around them, oblivious to the tidal wave of emotions washing over Amelia. Was she truly ready to step into this uncharted territory, to confront her own traumas? The answer felt just out of reach. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button down there to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every incredible person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact." Amelia stood there, heart pounding. Jonah's desperate gaze pierced through her. "But it's impossible! How can you—" Before she could finish, a loud crash interrupted their moment. A nearby storefront shattered, glass flying like glittering daggers. Screams erupted from the crowd as panic carved through the throngs of people. Amelia's stomach dropped. "What's happening?" she gasped, instincts kicking in. She instinctively pulled Jonah closer to shield him. Others rushed away, leaving them behind like fallen leaves. A thick plume of smoke rose into the sky, swirling ominously. Her eyes widened. Out of the chaos emerged a figure, silhouetted against the smoky backdrop. A man, his face hidden by a hood, moved swiftly through the crowd, a backpack slung over one shoulder. He glanced in Amelia's direction, and for a fleeting moment, her blood ran cold. There was something eerily familiar about him. "Amelia!" Jonah shouted, breaking her trance. Fear etched deep lines on his young face. "We have to go, now!" But she couldn't move. As the figure darted closer, memories flooded her mind. Days long gone, laughter shared, a childhood she thought she had left behind. And then it clicked. "Dad?" she whispered, the word escaping like a secret. The man turned sharply, and for a split second, his hood fell back, revealing not the face of her father, but someone who looked hauntingly similar. Her heartbeat raced. "Amelia!" he shouted, voice deep and urgent. "You need to listen." Confusion twisted in her gut. She felt Jonah grip her arm tighter. The whispers of the crowd intensified. "Who is he? What is going on? Stop!" she yelled. But the chaos was deafening. "What do you want? Who are you?" "I'm here to help," he replied, looking straight at her. "Jonah's right. I can make him walk again. But you have to trust me." Suddenly, she felt the ground shift beneath her. A loud bang echoed as a black SUV plowed through the street, accompanied by police sirens blaring in the distance. The world spun, the scene now a jumbled mess of emotion. "Amelia!" Jonah tugged at her as they stumbled backward. "They're coming for him!" The crowd surged away from the car, but Amelia was frozen, her mind racing. The familiar man in front of her was an enigma, and the chaos unleashed a storm of questions. Who was he? Was he truly trying to help? Could he really make her father walk again? But was he someone to be feared? "Run!" she finally shouted, shaking off disbelief. Fear wrapped around her heart like a vice, urging her to flee. She turned, grabbing Jonah's hand as they raced into the tumult. The chaos blurred past them. But that figure, his urgent eyes still burned in her memory. She couldn't shake it off. His words echoed in her mind. The ritual, the promises, the wild hope. Then they stumbled into an alley, the sound of the SUV fading. Jonah's face was pale. What was that? Who was he? "I don't know," she gasped, breathless. Jonah's expression shifted, fear morphing into something else. Was it recognition? I know who he is." Her heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "I've seen him before, in the streets. He's part of something dangerous." Panic bubbled inside her. "What do you mean?" And just like that, the fragile threads of hope began to fray. Secrets lay heavy in the air, twisting the narrative again. But truth felt so close, yet it hung like a dark shadow. What if everything she believed was a lie? What if Jonah's claim was just the beginning of a deeper, darker mystery? Their world was shifting, and Amelia could feel the ground tremble beneath her, leaving her teetering on the edge of something unimaginable. What had she just stepped into? Amelia's heart raced as Jonah's words sank in. The fear in his eyes only mirrored the panic that swelled inside her. "He's dangerous?" she echoed, her throat tight. And for a moment, the realization felt like cold water crashing over her. "Yeah," Jonah nodded, glancing over his shoulder. "I've seen him before. In the alleys. He's involved in—" Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the street, rattling the very air around them. The ground shook beneath their feet, and Amelia's breath caught in her throat. The sound came from the direction they had just fled. Her pulse thundered in her ears, drowning out the chaos. What had just happened? "Move!" Jonah shouted, grabbing her hand and yanking her down the alley. They ran deeper into the shadows, adrenaline coursing through Amelia's veins like wildfire. The dread consumed her thoughts. But the urge to survive pushed her forward. They reached a dead end, where the alley met a towering brick wall, the air thick with smoke. Jonah pressed against it, peering around the corner. "What's going on out there?" he whispered urgently. Amelia's mind raced. The man from before. The echoes of his promise. The explosion. It was all a jumbled mess. And amidst the panic, twisting emotions bubbled up. "I don't know!" she exclaimed, feeling tears prick at her eyes. "What was that? We need to get away from here!" Just then, Jonah's face went pale. "Amelia," he said slowly, voice quaking. "Look." She turned her gaze toward the street, heart hammering, and chilled disbelief gripped her. Emerging from the smoke was that same hooded man, his face shadowed, but unmistakable. It was like staring into a mirror, reflecting her childhood, a figure that pulled at her heart. But now, he held something in his hand, something glinting ominously in the low light. "Shh!" Jonah hissed, pulling her back. "He's coming this way!" But that didn't stop the man. He strode forward, a relentless force amid the chaos. Each step fueled by purpose. The urgency in his eyes felt dangerously potent. Then a chilling silence enveloped the street. The screams seemed to fade, replaced by a deafening stillness. "Amelia!" he shouted, voice deep with command. "You have to trust me. The time is now." Jonah jerked beside her. "We need to run!" Yet Amelia felt rooted in place. "But what do you want?" she called back, desperation clawing at her throat. He took another step closer. The farther she was from him, the more her heart ached. "You can't hide from this anymore. There's so much you don't know." The words washed over her, heavy and suffocating. And then it happened. A sudden flash, piercing the darkness. The man ripped the hood from his head, revealing a face carved with determination. And Amelia went cold. His features mirrored those of her late father. A spellbound shock struck her like a lightning bolt. "Dad?" she breathed, disbelief churning thick in her stomach. "How?" The words faded as something shifted in his expression. "I'm not your father." The cold truth sliced through her, emotions crashing around her like a storm. "I'm part of something much bigger," he continued, voice steady yet infused with urgency. "And it's time you learned the truth." Jonah braced himself against the wall. "What truth?" He looked bewildered, fear creeping into his voice. Suddenly, a loud crack shattered the air as a group of men in suits appeared at the alley's mouth, expressions grim. "There he is!" one of them shouted, pointing. Everything unraveled in an instant. Amelia's mind swirled with the revelation. The man wasn't her father, yet he held the keys to secrets she couldn't fathom. What were they involved in? Why would someone fake a connection with her past? Did he know what had really happened to her father? "Amelia!" Jonah's voice broke through her haze, panic threading his tone. "We have to go, now!" The reality hung heavy and cold in the air, her breath catching in her throat. She could feel the walls closing in, and as she turned to run, one thought pierced through the whirlwind of confusion. What did it mean that her father's legacy was tangled with someone who claimed to be part of something dangerous? The future loomed uncertain, pulling her along a path fraught with peril and dark secrets. Would she unravel her past, or lose everything trying? Amelia's heart pounded as she gripped Jonah's hand, the world around them spinning with chaos. The hooded man loomed closer, eyes locked on her with a strange intensity. She wanted to flee, but something about him pierced through her fear. He looked so much like her father, Yet the chill in the air told her to worry. "What do you mean, part of something bigger?" she shouted, desperation spilling from her lips. "Just trust me," he yelled back, reaching a hand out, as if to draw her in. "This isn't over. You're part of it too." Before she could process the weight of his words, a loud bang erupted behind them. The group of suited men stormed into the alley, faces hardened. "There!" one shouted. Panic surged through Amelia, and Jonah let out a sharp gasp beside her. "They're here! Go!" she screamed, spinning away from the man who looked so much like her father. They bolted deeper into the alley, but as they turned the corner, a horrible twist of fate struck. Jonah stumbled, catching his foot on something. Amelia turned and saw the grim expression on his face. The shadows twisted in tandem with a rising fear in her chest. "No, no, no," she urged. But a flash of blinding light erupted behind them. An explosion, a shockwave of sound and heat. They were thrown forward. The world warped as the ground trembled violently beneath them. In the confusion, Jonah cried out, his voice a mix of shock and pain. "Amelia, come back!" The air thickened, with smoke choking her lungs, nearly making her collapse. She turned and gasped. The hooded man was standing in the aftermath, untouched. The men in suits were flung back, scrambling. His face was distinct now, pain etched in the brow, and yet there was an unsettling calmness. "Jonah!" she screamed, fear swallowing her. But in that chaos, everything changed. The suited men regrouped, their focus on the hooded figure. Amidst the chaos, Jonah transformed in an instant. He stepped forward, a strange confidence igniting in his eyes. "Enough! Everyone stop!" he shouted. Everyone froze. Amelia's heart pounded. "Jonah, don't!" "He's not who you think he is," Jonah said firmly, a lifeline thrown into the storm. The hooded man's gaze flickered in surprise, but he remained silent. "He claimed he could help you, Amelia, but he isn't your father. He's the reason your dad is gone." "What?" Amelia gasped. Each word felt like ice. "I had to hide it," Jonah said, voice trembling but resolute. "To protect you. You were too close to learning the truth." "No," she cried, her breath catching. "You're lying." "I'm not. You were never meant to know why he's gone, and I've kept it from you because I care." The truth hit her like a slap. Confusion twisted inside, mixing with betrayal. "What are you saying?" Jonah's breath hung heavy. "The night your father died, it was his choice. He sacrificed himself." "What?" The words tumbled out of her mouth. The world around them blurred, screams and chaos fading into a distant echo. Jonah stepped closer, trying to piece together the moment that unraveled everything she thought she knew. "I didn't want to believe it, but it's true. He made a deal with forces that should not be messed with." Anger flared inside her. "And you knew? You kept this from me?" "Amelia, I loved him. I tried to protect you by staying silent. It wasn't safe to know." She felt a surge of heat. "Protect me? By lying? How could you?" The hooded man spoke, cutting through the tension. "Enough!" His voice boomed, now filled with authority. "Jonah was right. It's true that I am involved, but not in what you think. This isn't just about your father." "What does that even mean?" Amelia cried out, unraveling from fear and confusion. With a steady gaze, the hooded man stepped forward. "I'm the one who can make him walk again, but it comes at a price, and you're part of it." Shock crashed into her like a wave hitting the shore. Questions stormed in her mind. Had she ever really known what she was dealing with? What kind of price? A blinding figure emerged from the smoke behind the hooded man. A woman, fierce yet shattered, stepped into their world. "You have to choose now, Amelia." Her breath hitched. Who was this? What was happening? "Don't let them break you," the woman warned, voice echoing with a strange familiarity. "The truth will rip you apart." Everything was unraveling before her as she felt the ground shift. The darkness threatened to swallow her whole, urging her to confront something unimaginable. What secrets lay buried in her family? What did she truly believe? In that moment of uncertainty, Amelia could only stare as the world began to spin. The only clarity among the chaos was that she had stepped into a place where nothing was as it seemed, where every choice could undo her very soul. Amelia struggled to keep her focus, her heart pounding as she faced the hooded man and Jonah. The chaos around them seemed to fade into a distant hum. She felt her world constrict, every breath a reminder of an unsure future, a truth dangling just above her grasp. "Trust you?" she snapped at the hooded man, fierce determination shaking her voice. "After everything, you say you can bring my father back, but I've lost so much already." The man's expression softened for an instant, but it quickly hardened again. "You don't understand. There are forces at play that you're not aware of. They're coming for all of us." Jonah shifted nervously, his gaze darting between them. "We need to leave, now." But words hung heavy around them, thick and potent. The shadows danced along the alley walls. The air was electric with fear and uncertainty. And then, amid the rising tension, a blinding flash erupted from the shadows, followed by a terrifying explosion, ripping through the air like thunder. Amelia was thrown backward, the world spinning as pain jolted through her side. She landed hard, gasping, her heart racing wildly. All instincts screamed at her to run, to escape. But as the smoke cleared, something caught her eye, froze her. In place, a figure stumbling through the haze. "Amelia!" A voice pierced the chaos. It was her mother. "What? Mom?" Amelia's heart plummeted. She hadn't seen her mother in years, not since the night everything changed, not since her family shattered into pieces. But before Amelia could speak, an eruption of panic filled the air as the men in suits lunged forward. "Get back!" one shouted, their faces twisted with determination. "Get the girl!" "Mom, what are you doing here?" Amelia shouted, confusion coursing through her. "Amelia!" Her mother's voice broke. "You have to come with me! We're in danger!" In that moment, Amelia felt the world shift beneath her. The door between the past and present swung wide open. Her mother looked older, worn by grief, but there was something luminous about her, as if she held secrets that could illuminate everything. "No, why should I trust you?" Amelia's voice wavered. "You left! You abandoned us!" "It's not what you think," her mother pleaded, tears shimmering in her eyes. "You were safer without me." But the words tangled with something angry inside Amelia. She felt betrayal seep into her. "Safer? I lost my father. I was never safe." The hooded man moved closer, urgency in his tone. "Amelia, listen. She's not who you think she is." Suddenly, a sharp crack pulsed through the air, causing Amelia to flinch. The suited men were closing in, and her world transformed into pure chaos. Her mother stepped forward, a glint of panic settling in her stance, as if she were ready to fight. "No!" Amelia yelled, heart racing. She couldn't take it anymore. Too many questions, too many emotions. "What do you mean she's not who I think she is?" There was a profound change in the air, tension crackling like electricity, when the hooded man spoke again. "She is the one who made the deal. Your mother is the reason your father is gone." The words struck Amelia like a fist to the stomach. Confusion faded into shock, splintering her mind. "What?" she choked out, feeling her breath quicken, panic swirling. Jonah's eyes widened. "Is that true?" "No," Amelia's mother shouted, shaking her head vigorously. "I did it to protect you. I never wanted this for you." But Amelia felt each word like a dagger, the weight of betrayal crushing her. "Protect me? You hurt me. You broke our family." Before anything else could be said, the loud shattering of glass echoed through the alley. Lights flickered out. It was a signal of chaos reigniting. A shadow hovered in the corner of her eye, something dark and looming. "Run!" Jonah screamed, grabbing her hand again. But Amelia couldn't move. The truth hung heavy, seeping into her very being. "Wait! Mom, what more don't I know?" she cried, desperate for answers, as panic surged inside her. But instead of responding, her mother pressed her hand to her heart, breath shuddering, as if a revelation had finally washed over her. In that moment, a blinding light pierced through the darkness. A siren blared close by, drowning out their voices. The alley erupted into chaos again. The suited men caught off guard. And with that flash, it all transformed. Amelia's world twisted violently, wrapping up all her fears, her past, into one explosive truth. Her mother was at the center of it all. But how? What did it mean for everything she thought she knew? "What have I stepped into?" she whispered to herself, heart racing, breathless. The reality unfurled, leaving her at the precipice of doubts and darkness. And out of it all, one thought took root. What was her mother truly capable of? And how deep did the darkness go? Amelia struggled to catch her breath, eyes darting between her mother and the hooded man. Every word hung in the air, like a storm cloud. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her, threatening to crush her. "What do you mean my mother is the reason he's gone?" Her voice trembled, each syllable loaded with disbelief. Jonah stood rigid beside her, confusion etched on his face. "No, you can't be serious." But the tension was palpable. The suited men were regrouping, their intentions sharp and dangerous. Her mother's face was a mix of fear and determination, but something flickered in her eyes. Defiance? Or was it something darker? "Amelia, please," her mother pleaded, stepping forward, hand trembling. "You have no idea what's at stake here. I did what I had to do." "Did what? Sacrifice my father?" Amelia's chest tightened, her breath coming in shallow gasps. "You could have saved him instead of being part of this mess." But the hooded man interrupted, urgency flooding his voice. "We don't have time. They're coming." Suddenly, the sounds of chaos outside erupted like a terrible drumbeat. Sirens wailed, people screamed, and glass shattered. A cacophony of noise drowned out their exchange. The moment felt heavy and electric. It was like the world was teetering on the edge of collapse. Her mother's gaze shifted, scanning the alley and the darkness closing in. "It's not what you think, Amelia," she insisted, desperation cutting through her voice. "I wanted to protect you from this life." "What life? The life where you lie to me?" Amelia challenged, tears pricking at her eyes. Jonah tugged at her hand, pulling her back as the suited men advanced. "We need to go, now!" But then, a loud crash echoed through the alley, reverberating like a thunderclap. The wall behind the hooded man crumbled, revealing a hidden door bathed in a strange, flickering light. "Amelia," the hooded man shouted, urgency sharp in every word. "This is your chance. We have to get through before they reach us." She felt herself being torn in two, heart racing. How could she trust him? Yet Mom's voice wrapped around her like a haunting melody. Don't trust him. The suited men closed in, faces stern and relentless. Get the girl, they shouted, pushing through the chaos. Amelia's instincts screamed for her to run, to escape. Amelia, Jonah yelled, pulling her toward the hidden door. Please! But just then, her mother lunged, grabbing Amelia's shoulders, locking eyes with her. You don't understand. I made a choice to save you both. It was always about you. In that moment of panic, with the chaos surrounding them, the truth hit harder than any explosion. What do you mean, always? Amelia whimpered, horror dawning. And in the very next moment, something strange happened. Her mother stepped back, eyes widening in shock, and she stumbled, clutching her stomach. No, it can't be. What? Amelia's mouth went dry. The hooded man shouted, Get her out of here, now! Yet it was too late. Amelia watched in horror as her mother began to glow, pulsing with light. The shadows around her dropped back like the tide. Mom! She screamed, feeling terror grip her heart. With a sudden flash, her mother transformed into a figure of ethereal beauty, lifting off the ground, surrounded by shimmering energy. Amelia, listen, I'm not just your mother. I've been part of this all along. I'm a guardian. A wave of shock cascaded through Amelia. What does that even mean? But before she could process it, a portal opened behind her mother, swirling in colors that made her stomach drop. Go, now, find the truth, you have to. Her mother's voice faded, pulled into the light, and Amelia felt her heart shatter. Amelia! Jonah yelled, reaching for her. We have to go. But all at once, a roar echoed through the alley, drowning Jonah's voice. The men in suits stumbled back, eyes wide with fear. The ground shook beneath them, and everything blurred into chaos. Amelia felt weightless as her mother disappeared, leaving only a whisper of her presence. You're stronger than you know. A new reality unfolded in her mind, and fear clawed at her throat. No! She yelled, scrambling forward to grasp at nothing. But her heart knew she had to choose, that everything had just shifted. As the portal closed behind her mother, the alley, once full of chaos, began to dim. Jonah pulled her back as the suited men retreated, their faces twisted with disbelief. What just happened? Jonah gasped, eyes wide. Amelia stood frozen, the truth of it all crashing down. I don't know, she whispered, breathing heavy, heart racing. But I'm deeply entangled in something much bigger than I ever knew. The questions hung in the void, echoing loudly. What had she really inherited? What happened to the person she thought she knew as her mother? Where would this path lead them? The mystery spiraled deeper and deeper, and all Amelia could feel was the impending storm of answers ready to break. Amelia stood frozen, heart racing, confusion swirling around her. Jonah's grip was still tight, pulling her back from the chaos. The world felt like it was closing in. The suited men regrouped, scanning the alley as the air crackled with tension. Could this be real? Did her mother really just... Mom! She shouted, not ready to accept what she had seen. What did you mean you're a guardian? What are you involved in? Her voice cracked under the weight of it all. Her mother's expression shifted from fear to something akin to determination. I didn't have a choice, Amelia, she snapped, frustration boiling over. I was trying to protect you from the truth, all of this. I thought I could shield you from what we had to face. But Amelia was shaking her head fiercely. You can't just protect me by lying. You didn't keep me safe. You kept me in the dark. Her voice rose, piercing through the panic that enveloped them. Suddenly, the hooded man stepped between them, urgency etched across his face. Now's not the time for this. We have to go! But Amelia's anger was a fire that wouldn't die down. Go where? With you? After everything? She spat, meeting his gaze with a fierceness. You can't expect me to trust anyone here. Then a louder crash erupted behind them. The alley shook, debris raining down like confetti. Amelia instinctively grabbed Jonah's arm, fear sending a shiver through her. What now? She gasped as the suited men barreled toward them, eyes wide with intention. But at that very moment, her mother stepped forward. Amelia, listen, she said sharply, every word colored with desperation. There's more about your father you don't know. A lot more than I could ever explain in this moment. What could you possibly say that would make this okay? Amelia yelled back, confusion mixing with dread. But before her mother could respond, chaos erupted again. The air itself seemed to twist, and with a blinding flash of light, a figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, cloaked and seething with dark energy, was a man unlike anyone Amelia had ever seen, with eyes that glowed like embers. The crowd of suited men halted, fear flickering across their faces. Silence, the figure bellowed, voice reverberating through the alley. Everything fell still. Who are you? Jonah asked, voice barely above a whisper, filled with a dread that tangled around them all. The man raised a hand, causing the air to shimmer. I am the reckoning of your past, Amelia. Your bloodline binds you to me. What does that mean? She gasped, trying to lean into Jonah, needing his grounding presence. But then, the revelation cut through like a knife. You don't just share blood. You are the key to everything. The amber light intensified, enveloping the alley. Amelia squinted against it, her heart pounding. No! No way! She exclaimed, recoiling as pieces began to click in place. Her father's absence. Her mother's secrets. Jonah's knowledge. The truth felt like shards of glass slicing through her. I am here to show you your true power, the man continued, voice thick with menace and promise. You are meant to lead this war against the dark forces that threaten our world. Your heritage demands it. Before she could respond, a rumble of thunder cracked from above, dark clouds swirling into existence over the streets. Rain began to pour, heavy and cold, as if the sky itself mourned the revelations. A war? My war? Amelia breathed, disbelief etched across her features. She felt a lump in her throat, unable to comprehend the weight of it all. But then, everything intensified. Her mother shouted through the tempest, You don't understand, Amelia. You're not just any guardian. You're the last of the line. The words hit like a punch. What? The last? She echoed, confusion turning to anger. How could this even be? But before she could finish, the figure's hand extended again. This time, he unleashed a wave of energy that crashed into Amelia, lifting her off the ground. Images flooded her mind. Memories that weren't hers. Futures that hadn't happened. Destinies interwoven with echoes of her father. Jonah reached out. Amelia! But she was trapped in the vortex of truth, unraveling before her. The allies, the enemies, the very fabric of her existence shifting. As the energy washed over her, she felt it. Deep regret, unimaginable power, and her mother's muffled cries. This isn't what it seems! Amelia, you have to understand! Everything spiraled, and just as abruptly, the power pulsed outward, a shockwave of light bursting around her like fireworks. The alley dissipated, blurring into shadows. And in that instant of chaos, Amelia felt a connection snap within her, a hidden truth tearing loose like a bloody bandage. Her mother's face twisted in horror as the man's light engulfed her. Mom! Amelia screamed, tears stinging her eyes. But in the blink of an eye, everything changed. Her mother's body vanished, absorbed by the swirling darkness as if she had never existed. For a heart-stopping moment, Amelia stood alone, spinning in disbelief. "Amelia," the figure said, voice deep and powerful, "embrace who you are." And just like that, the world around her shifted again. Dark and light, enemies and allies. There was one thing she knew for sure. Nothing was as it had always seemed. The truth hung in the air, sharp and deadly. Amelia's chest tightened. Who had she really been all along? As the shadows danced, one thought pierced her heart. What had she just unleashed? Amelia stood there, heart racing, as the echoes of her mother's disappearance crashed against her like waves. The sudden absence felt like a punch to the gut. "No, no, no," she choked out, her hands trembling. She turned to Jonah, desperate for support, but felt nothing but the cold grip of chaos all around. The hooded man watched, as if weighing her reaction. "You have to embrace your destiny," he pressed, voice steady, yet laced with urgency. "No," Amelia shot back. "You don't understand. My mother, she just vanished." "You talk about destiny, while I just lost the only family I have left." Suddenly, a crack of thunder boomed from above, startling Amelia. The suited men were regrouping, their eyes dark and intent. They knew. They were coming for her. "Amelia, run!" Jonah pulled at her, but she was frozen. The heavy feeling in her chest transformed into a burning anger. How could this be happening? She stepped forward, defiance flooding her veins. "If I'm part of this war, then I need to know everything. Don't hide it from me." The hooded man sighed, his eyes narrowing with intensity. "It's not just you that's at stake. There are those who will stop at nothing to control you." Just then, the ground shook violently again. Amelia stumbled, gasping as she regained her balance. And then it happened. From the shadows, another figure emerged, dark and foreboding. "Careful what you seek, Amelia," the new figure growled, voice steeped in malice. Her heart raced as recognition washed over her. "You!" The figure was someone she thought she'd never see again. Marcus, her father's old business partner. He'd been the one who left before their lives spiraled into chaos. "Why are you here?" Amelia spat, confusion bubbling in her gut. "What do you want from me?" "Your mother had to make a choice," he said, smirking as he stepped closer. "You think she's gone forever? She's just part of a bigger plan now." "No!" Amelia shouted, panic welling as she tried to grasp his meaning. "What do you mean?" Jonah's eyes widened in horror. "Amelia, we have to go." But Marcus stood tall, the shadows flickering around him. "You truly don't know, do you?" And then, in that merciless moment, he revealed the truth that shattered everything. Your mother traded her life for power. For you. For your potential. She's not just a guardian. She led the pact to protect our lineage, a bloodline forged in darkness. Her powers are now awakened. You are Magnetus as much as she is. The ground seemed to sway. The revelation smacked Amelia across the face, leaving her breathless. "No, that can't be true." "It is," Marcus said, voice dripping with triumph. "And you, my dear, will be its instrument." A storm of emotions swirled within her. Betrayal, anger, confusion. "You're lying." But the fierce look in Marcus's eyes suggested otherwise. Jonah stepped in front of her, defensively. "Get back, Marcus. You're not turning this around. There's still hope." "I'm not the enemy here," Marcus shot back with wild amusement. "In fact, I can help you channel her power." "Help?" Amelia felt the words twist on her tongue. They burned like poison. "You think I'd trust you?" As he stepped closer, something flickered in Marcus's eyes, eagerness mixed with desperation. "You don't have a choice. as long as your bloodline remains untapped, darkness will always be lingering, chasing you. A silence fell over them, thick and suffocating. The suited men hesitated, exchanging wary glances. Then, the absurdity of Marcus's claims started to sink in. "All those years," Amelia whispered, pain threading through her voice. "What have you even done to her?" she demanded, voice shaking. With a mix of malice and glee, Marcus grinned. "It's not what's been done, it's what is to come. The real fight is just beginning." And that's when the unexpected happened. From behind Marcus, a figure emerged. A tall woman with blazing red hair, a fierce expression on her face. "No more lies," she commanded, voice echoing through the alley. "Who are you?" Amelia gasped, stunned. "Your true ally," the woman shot back. "I've been waiting for the moment when your eyes would finally open. You are not just magnetis, Amelia. You are here to tip the balance. You're meant to unite both the dark and the light." Shock rippled through the air, a thunderclap of revelation. "No," Amelia breathed. "What does that mean?" But the woman stepped forward, as if to end the confusion. "You have the power to change everything, but in doing so, you will lose something precious." And just like that, Amelia felt the ground shift beneath her feet again. Her relationships, her identity, everything she believed shattered like glass. The truth unfolded around her, fragile yet powerful. Jonah looked at her, eyes wide with fear. "What are we supposed to do now?" Fear clenched her chest, and suddenly she was faced with a choice as heavy as iron. What path would she choose? Would she embrace who she was meant to be, or would she rebel against a destiny shadowed by darkness? The alley buzzed with tension as time hung in the balance. Everything she thought she knew vanished in the air, and she stood there, right on the edge of a precipice. What would she uncover about herself next? What sacrifices awaited her in the endless battle between dark and light? Amelia stood in the dim alley, her heart pounding, as the weight of the moment pressed down on her like a lead blanket. The woman with the fiery hair exuded an aura of power, her words echoing in Amelia's mind. "You're meant to unite both the dark and the light." A shiver ran down her spine. What did that even mean? Jonah grabbed her hand, eyes wide, his voice trembling. "Amelia, we need to move, now." The urgency in his tone snapped her back to reality. The suited men were closing in. She felt the walls closing around her, the shadows pressing against her. But just as she opened her mouth to respond, the air crackled, heavy and electric. In an instant, everything shifted. A piercing scream pierced the chaos, cutting through the tension like a knife. "Amelia!" Her breath caught in her throat. It was her mother's voice, unmistakable yet eerily distant. "No, Mom!" Panic surged through her. Where was she? And then, through the dark cloud of confusion, a figure emerged. A young girl, maybe 12, with the same fiery hair, identical eyes, and a defiant scowl. "You need to listen," she shouted, voice carrying an authority beyond her years. "Who are you?" Amelia gasped, utterly baffled. "I'm your sister," the girl replied, conviction solid in her words. "A sister you never knew." A shockwave of revelation crashed over Amelia. "What? No, that can't be possible." She shook her head, disbelief dancing through her. "How can you be my sister?" The girl stepped closer, unfazed by the chaos swirling around them. "They've kept it from you. Kept me from you. I was born from the same pact, from the same mother." Her eyes burned with intensity. "We're both magnetes, and now it's time to reclaim our legacy. No, no, this can't be happening, Amelia stammered, her heart racing. She looked to Jonah, who was equally dumbfounded, frozen like a deer caught in headlights. But the energy shifted, and suddenly the alley filled with darkness, an ominous presence unfurling like smoke. It seeped into their surroundings, thick and suffocating. The suited men lunged toward the girl, eyes wide with alarm. "Get the other one!" One of them yelled, his voice desperate. A wave of fear surged through Amelia. "Run!" she shouted, grabbing Jonah's hand. The alley echoed with the sounds of chaos, shouting, scrambling feet, the pulse of panic weaving through the air. "Not without you," Jonah yelled back, still torn between his loyalty to Amelia and the urgency to escape. But the girl stepped into the darkness, unfurling a cloak of energy around her, a protective bubble shimmering in the shadows. "You must trust me. We can't let them take you." Amelia felt a flutter of hope amid despair. This girl, this sister, was her lifeline, a connection she never knew she needed. Yet doubt gnawed at her. "But who are you really?" "I am the key to unlocking our family's true power," she declared, voice steady, amidst the chaos. "Together, we can harness it, but first, we have to stop them." Abruptly, the alley erupted with blinding light. Amelia shielded her eyes, the brightness consuming everything around her. A piercing cry echoed, and she turned to see Jonah caught in the grasp of the advancing suited men. "Amelia, help!" "No!" Desperation clawed at her throat. The girl's eyes widened, a spark of fear igniting, and suddenly it all clicked. "Stop!" Amelia shouted, pushing through the haze. "Let him go! He's innocent!" But the darkness thickened, swirling violently, and in that moment, the true twist ripped through the air, a rumbling truth that shattered her very being. "Jonah," the girl said fiercely, "he's one of them." Amelia froze, her world imploding. "What? No! He's my friend!" "Is he?" the girl challenged, pointing a finger at him. "Open your eyes! He's lied to you about everything. He's the reason they're here." The truth pierced Amelia's heart like a shard of ice. She watched Jonah's face twist with confusion, panic, and something else. Something darker. The whispers throughout the chaos faded, leaving her standing on the precipice of betrayal and despair. Everything she once believed unraveling like a fraying rope. "No," she gasped, each word laced with disbelief. "This can't be true." But as the chaos swirled, the reality struck hard. Her sister's eyes locked with hers, full of urgency. "You have to decide now, Amelia. Will you embrace our legacy, or will you let him?" The darkness surged, and the world spun out of control. Everything blurred, the shocking truth twisting around her like a storm. What had she just unleashed? What could possibly come next? Amelia stood at the edge of a whirlwind, emotions swirling around her like a fierce storm. "No, you can't be serious." The shock made her voice tremble, her heart racing as the truth about Jonah hit. He was part of this terrifying world after all. Yet, the energy around them thickened, darkness creeping closer, a suffocating blanket of fear. The suited men were advancing, and she could see the desperation etched on Jonah's face as he struggled against them. "Amelia, you have to believe me. We can still get out of this." But the shimmering figure of her sister, standing firm, whispered fiercely, "You need to choose your side." "I can't," Amelia stuttered, caught between the familiar, panic gripping her heart, and the impossibility of what she had just learned. Suddenly, the alley shifted. The shadows seemed alive, pulsating with dark energy, as Marcus's laugh echoed ominously. You think you can escape the truth? You were never meant to run from it. Amelia felt heat rising inside her, like a flame igniting within. No! If anyone is going to have control, it's going to be me. She felt her blood pulse with newfound strength, the ripple of power coursing through her veins. "Stand back!" shouted her sister, grounding Amelia momentarily. With a fierce wave of her hand, a protective barrier of light surged between them and the oncoming darkness, illuminating every shadow. "Amelia!" Jonah called again, anguish spilling from his voice as the darkness pushed against the barrier, with a force she could feel shaking her very core. "Jonah, get back." It was hard to hear her own voice, lost in the chaos. But deep inside, a flicker of hope ignited, a realization that her family might not be completely lost after all. "Together!" her sister yelled, her fiery hair glowing like a beacon. Summoning every ounce of courage, Amelia clasped her sister's hand, their power intertwining, drawing energy from the depths of their lineage. Light exploded forth from them, cutting through the darkness, and for the first time, she felt like she was truly in control. "Do it!" the sister yelled, determination flowing between them. With a final surge, they released the energy into the shadows, a blinding force that illuminated the alley, banishing the darkness like that dream. The suited men faltered, fear etched on their faces as the light enveloped them, turning their silhouettes into mere phantoms, swallowed by a great burst of brilliance. But as the light dimmed, a weight still hung in the air. Amelia turned, anxiety rising. What about Mom? Where is she? Will we ever see her again? Her sister paused, breathless. "She's alive, but tied up in something we don't fully understand yet. The fight isn't over." Jonah, on the brink of despair, finally stepped forward. "But we have to find her. We can unravel this together, can't we?" Amelia felt a deep sense of resolve swelling inside her. Yes. With courage rising in her chest, she turned to her sister, determination sparkling in her eyes. "Let's begin our journey to uncover the truth." Just then, a low rumble echoed through the alley, remnants of what had just occurred. The shadows receded, but Amelia knew the darkness would never be far behind. There were still questions without answers. Who else might be watching? What dangers awaited them? "This is just the beginning, right?" she said, glancing at both of them. "Absolutely," her sister affirmed, a confident fire in her gaze, illuminating a path forward. As they stepped into the unknown, hand in hand, Amelia felt a thrilling connection spark between the three of them. It was no longer just about what had been lost. It was now about what they could reclaim. "Let's do this," Jonah said, and for the first time, Amelia felt the weight of hope lifting her higher. And as they walked deeper into the alley, the first light of dawn broke, illuminating everything. The world felt simultaneously fresh and poised for conflict. The journey ahead whispered with untold promises and lurking dangers. And one thing was certain: they'd have to face it together. As the story closed, don't forget, you must subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales waiting for you. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories alive. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know how this wraps up. Don't leave just yet. The next story awaits you. Click now to dive into even more thrilling adventures.